As the shift towards purpose-built forestry equipment continues, it's interesting to find a machine that succeeds in being multi-dimensional. We came across such a case in Gisborne recently after spying some interesting purchases by Danny Drummond-owned Forest Road Maintenance. Danny has recently consolidated his two road building operations in the Wairarapa Forest into a single super road lining crew that now incorporates a harvesting side. He needed to get that harvesting work up and running very quickly, which partly governed his equipment of choice, the most complicated being a fully guarded high and wide processor. With 3 trees averaging 3-ton piece size in this forest and some hitting more than 5-ton, the processor needed to be weighty, and Danny was fortunate to secure the only brand new SK500 available in the country from distributor Mimico. And he was even lucky to get PFS Engineering of Hamilton to undertake the forestry conversion in time to get the machine ready for the start of the new contract. There's an historic reason for the choice of a Kobelco SK500. Danny's father had run them successfully in a Duke & Crew for a while, and Danny himself also has an SK500 bucket machine digging out the roads and skids. With 2 very different versions of the same piece of equipment working in close proximity to each other, it provided an interesting opportunity for NZ Logger to compare the 2 machines to see how well each is performing in its allotted task and note the differences. Starting with the logging Kobelco, which features a Woodsman Pro 850 processing head, we found it well set up to sit on a skid and spit out up to 300 tonne of logs each day. The Hino 10.5 litre 6-cylinder engine delivers a very decent 345 horsepower, more than enough to drive the hydraulics of both the machine and the head at the same time without losing any momentum. It has good reach from the boom and arm, and even when there's a large stem going through the processor, it sits rock steady on the ground thanks to an all-up weight of 65 tonne. The purpose-built PFS cab has plenty of vision, sitting higher than a standard cab and only needing a small amount of guarding over the front screen. And on the opposite side of the valley is where the Kobelco SK500 Digger is situated, cleaving into a hillside spur to create a track that will terminate in a landing for a swing yarder. Although it's painted in the same Cambridge blue as the processor, it looks very different. In place of the aftermarket cab is a standard factory workstation with a little less storage room behind the seat. Unlike the PFS cab, it's protected by an exterior guarding cage to enable it to work in this environment. And in place of the large clamshell bonnet that's on the processor, access to the engine on this machine is via a much smaller hatch on top of the engine compartment, which makes it more difficult for maintenance and any repair technicians to get at. This machine has a standard size base, which helps to shave some 15 tonne from its weight when compared to the processor. The other main difference is the implement at the end of the boom and arm. It's a bucket designed and built to Danny Drummond's specs by Doherty Engineering of Tauranga. Being narrower and deeper than a standard bucket, it's ideal for scouring the tough ground in this location. The engine and other running gear is identical to the processor, but it uses the hydraulics in a very different way. Its job is to dig into the earth and then swing its full laden bucket behind it before emptying. Almost the opposite to how the processor works, which is more about lifting, driving and placing its load. But in spite of their different tasks, neither of these machines feels compromised in any way. They both have enough power for their respective operations and go about them competently and efficiently.